Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jalapenos Death, checking in for another quick cooking video. Today we are already working on another project as well, and this is going to kind of be a side item and go along with the first. So by now you will have already seen a pulled pork video that I did, barbecue pork. And onto that sandwich, I'm going to be also adding some fried green chili strips, or I guess rings more accurately. These are going to be some Anaheim chilies I picked up at the store. They are certainly sizable. And for my group of people, we're going to be having 5 folks for some snacks and games. So we can eat these either plain or putting them onto our sandwiches, whatever floats a boat. But for it, we're going to need some chilies, however many you need for your, I guess, group or whoever you're feeding. We do have some white cornmeal. I've chosen white instead of yellow today. And we're going to need plain flour, as well as some basic seasonings, salt, pepper, and I was thinking about some cayenne on there for a little zippy zip. And now this recipe could also be very easily translated to onion rings, and that wouldn't be hard at all either. And I guess the other thing we're going to need is some buttermilk. Once again, quantities on all these things depend on how much you're making, so I really couldn't say exact quantities for you, but I'll give you ideas as what I use as I go. So first things first, we're going to get these chilies started, and I'm going to take the tops off and hopefully pull most of these seeds out without leaving all the body in here. We don't want these in our onion rings. They don't seeds don't taste good. So I'm going to need just a minute to probably clean these guys up, and I will be back with you. Okay, I've got my 4 chilies prepped. I got the insides knocked out, got all the seeds out of them. And what we're going to do now is run these across the mandolin. It's not a tool I use very often. I'm just trying to see how I like the thickness. I think we're going to go with that. These ones are about 1/4 inch thick. They're not my... oh, it's kind of tearing out there. Got to be a little more careful with that. I think I need to do these on the bias maybe. Switch this around. Make these rings on the bias instead of straight up and down. They'll go a little better for me. If you're ever using a mandolin, do be cautious, because of course this is a blade. You definitely don't want to be hurting yourself on it. So I'm going to chew my way through the rest of these, and back in a sec. As you can see, they are, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch thick. I think it's what's going to work for today, and it doesn't matter if they end up broken or whatever. They're going to end up manhandled a little bit more before the end of the day. So see you guys in a sec. Alright, there they are. I almost didn't pick a big enough bowl for this. This is my 4 chilies all chopped up. I suspect I'm going to have way more than I need. But as far as this process is concerned, this is all prep work right now. What we're going to do is we're going to put some buttermilk onto these, and we're going to let these basically marinate in the buttermilk for a couple. I'm going to let them soak for a couple of hours, but I would recommend no less than probably 10 or 15 minutes sitting in these. Something about the buttermilk is going to help start to break these down just a little bit. It's going to need quite a bit on that. It's going to give us something for our dredge to stick to later on. So this is going to get covered with plastic wrap and land in my fridge for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to come back to it, but like I said, minimum of 15 minutes, and you'll be good to go. So see you guys in a couple of hours. Okay folks, so here we have our chilies after they've been, for me, in the thing for a couple of hours marinating, but once again, 15 minutes would be enough. And what we want to do is we want to scoop out some of our rings, and we're going to dump them into a mix of equal parts corn flour and cornmeal. That's the right word. And I've also added into this one about a half a teaspoon probably of paprika. I'm sorry, damn words. About a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That's the one I need. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to put them into my little fry daddy over here, which happens to be cooked up to 350 degrees. And let these puppies go. So I'm just going to make up a couple of them right now. Do of course remember that when we're working with hot grease, it is imperative to put the stuff away from you. You don't want them to be ever have this stuff aimed at your face, splashing on your clothes, splashing on your person. It is quite bad for you. So if you guys were doing onions instead, this is all the same process. But the thing I'm not really doing right now very well is remembering the number one rule about dredging is always making sure you have a dry hand, because otherwise you end up with all kinds of problems. We're going to drop these in over here for a minute. While these are cooking, if you haven't been hearing about it yet, I'd also like to remind you all of the Gamers and Geeks cooking playlist that Vault Girl and myself have going on our channels. And we're absolutely encouraging all of our friends in YouTube family to get involved with this project. It's really easy to do. All you got to do is make something up. It can be fancy, it could be simple, something you like, it could be savory, sweet, doesn't really matter. All it needs to be is something you like to eat. So I'm hoping that you guys will join us in this little adventure. Give me 1 second. I'm going to rinse off my hands here. If you have, if you don't have a little fryer like I do here, you can of course always use just a pot. I've got my temperature on this thing turned up to about 350 degrees. So as long as you can use your oil safely, I do recommend having some fun with it. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can fry. I mean, it's not very good for you, but it's good to eat. Now my oven is preheated to 200 degrees, and I have prepared a cookie sheet to put these onto. And I'm not going to make these up too far in advance. Realistically, you could put them together probably 30 minutes before you plan on eating them. Leave them baking in the oven at that lowest temperature. They should stay fairly crisp for about that long. Pull those out now. This is about what we're looking for. Nice golden brown. Hotter than shit, of course. I wouldn't recommend touching them just yet. It should be about, ooh, what's the temperature again? 350 degrees. So we're going to let those drain off for just one little second. And then I'm going to put them onto the cookie sheet that's lined with towels and has a drip rack over the top of it. And then we'll sprinkle them with a little bit of salt. And for the salt, I've taken some kosher salt, run it through my mortar and pestle, and ground it up real fine. So it's very, very fine powder. And that's what we're going to sprinkle these with. But we're going to do it while they're still hot. Just a little pinch of salt on the top of these while they're still warm. You're good to go. Put these into the oven and we'll keep going. Actually, you know what? I lied. I'm going to sneak one right now. Yes, please. Okay, I'm sneaking two. Alright. Well, if it's the only video you've watched, feel free to eat those with ranch dressing or whatever sauce suits your flavor. If you're going to put them onto a sandwich like I am, these are plenty crunchy with the cornmeal. If you don't like it quite as crunchy, you could back the cornmeal ratio down. More flour, less cornmeal. I just like these to have a little bit of crunch to them. And of course, depending on how the time of year, the flavor of your peppers is going to be kind of varied. You'll find they're hotter in certain seasons. I want to say I heard that peppers are hotter in wintertime. I don't know if it's true for all peppers or just for things like jalapenos. But I'm going to make up some more of these and keep going on this meal of mine. I will see you guys all in the next cooking video, and I do absolutely encourage you to consider contributing, joining us for some more cooking. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. As long as you're enjoying it, as long as it's tasty food to you, then that's all it needs to be. JPickleDeath signing off. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.